Hey Fandom, it's me Aaron for a comic show, and I've got a stack of comics here. I'm going to start with Image today because they had some great #1s, but DC has some good Batman stuff, and there's Original Sin, and even a Star Wars book. So let's get into it. Trees, #1. Yes, Trees, not the Woods. That's another book. Trees. This is Warren Ellis. You should care about this. I mean, look at this graphic design on this cover with like the roots being like a skull and this big tree going up in the skyline of Manhattan, kind of like one tower. It was pretty cool. It's 10 years in the future. It's this speculative fiction of this apocalypse where these things come, these big towers, these big ships come and like root themselves into the earth like a tree and pour chemicals everywhere and just kind of kill everything that the chemicals touch, and then just nothing happens. So it's really strange, it's really cool, and it's told through a bunch of snippets of different characters in different parts of the world where these tree things have landed. So I love how Warren Ellis has like that global frequency type thing where it's this planetary thing. There's just things are just as relevant in New York as they are in Beijing. These are it's a nice cast, it's a nice diverse thing, and I really like that Warren Ellis is doing a long-form comic again, and Trees was great. Weird title, yeah, Trees, but it was a fun first issue and really thought-provoking. Moving on, Kyle Higgins. You know him from Nightwing. He's moved on from Nightwing now that Nightwing has also moved on from Nightwing, but more on that later. This is COWL, Chicago Organized Workers League. And this is kind of like, you know Chicago is famous for organized crime, but do you also know that it's famous for organized labor? And what if there was this organized crime and there's like the powered crime? Some of the people that want to fight crime, powers or not, would possibly organize for collective bargaining to get perks and get incentives and get pay from the city to protect. And this is what happens when they beat everything, basically. They beat all the big villains, they have organized crime beat, and what they can't beat is a disillusioned public. And that's kind of where they're at. And what COWL is like, to me, and this might sound blasphemous, but it's like The Wire. I love The Wire. It's one of my top 2 favorite TV shows. And it's this cast where you're seeing everything. You're seeing the reporters, you're seeing the politicians, you're seeing the big fame-hungry, superstar-powered guys, but you're also seeing the beat guys, the guys that are just doing the investigation, that are getting the leads for the big guys to come and steal the show and steal the glory. So COWL is great. It's a good pick, Image #1 that probably has a low print run. It's probably going to be all crazy, speculative, whatever, but that's not my point. My point is Kyle Higgins is killing it on it, and it's a lot like The Wire, but with superpowers, and in Chicago instead of Baltimore. So, you know, basically it's just The Wire. I mean, come on. That's what it is. Okay, Southern Bastards. We got the second print of #1 that finer stores everywhere will have, and #2 is out now. It's Jason Aaron and Jason Latour, and it's badass. It's Southern Bastards. It's just like Sons of Anarchy, but not the motorcycles and not so much the gangs and the bars, but just basically bastards in the South. So, I mean, it's kind of playing words of Southern Baptists, and it's just, I liked it a lot. And you can tell that Jason Aaron being a Southern writer and Jason Latour being Southern himself, you know, like, sure, he was in Gainesville, that's kind of the South. I don't know if you've been to Florida, but there's parts of Gainesville that are pretty darn near Georgia. But it's a great book, and you can tell Jason Aaron's voice is dead on, and these characters ring true, and I just really like just the gritty crime. I don't so much like the crime that it's like big, crazy heists. I like crime that's just like personal and gritty, and there's a scene here with football and how a lot of southern towns are so wrapped around football that if the cops were football players in that town when they were younger, and the suspects in current crimes are star football players, are they really going to bother investigating that stuff? Probably not. So it's up to one man and his revolver to make things right. And finally, Black Science for Image. This is one of their $10 volume 1s. It's issue 1 through 6. That's the story arc. That's what you get for $10. And it's brilliant. Rick Remender, just Science Bastards is what it could be called instead of Black Science, because it's anarchist science league. It's science with absolutely no ethics, no morality, nothing holding it back from just being as crazy as it can be, because it's science. Like, science is its own ends. It's its own justification. It's science. You guys love science, right? You know, screw God. Yay, science. So anyway, read this book. It's a cautionary tale on science, but it's also very fun, and I like it. And just one franchise book this week. It's Star Wars Rebel Heist. Look at this beautiful cover by Matt Kent. Matt Kent wrote it, and essentially it's the 4 icons of the original Star Wars trilogy told from someone right next to them. It's a story, it's a connecting story that each character has a spotlight. The first one was Han Solo, this one's Leia, then we have Chewie and Luke, but from someone, a rebel next to them that idolizes them, the same way I idolize them, the same way Matt Kent idolizes them, the same way anyone, you know, in their 30s idolizes these characters because they were just so brilliant. It was back in an age before we liked to tear down our heroes. So enjoy that book. Moving on to DC, this is like a good Bat week. You got 2 Snyder Batmans. This final act of 0 Year, it's not the final issue, but it's the final act. It's so good. I love how Snyder is just juggling the young Bruce, teenage Bruce, with this 5-6 years ago Batman Bruce that just how the story just relates and how his post-traumatic stress and how he's this product of that alley, that night. And when he takes on Riddler, Riddler totally gets him wrong, just totally off base, just does not get what his origin actually is. And Bruce, Batman, gets Riddler dead, bang, pegged. And that's why Batman wins, because Batman does not have assumptions about his opposition based on his own validation, based on him being right, based on him being the smartest or the best. He has the correct assertion because he has nothing to lose and he has to save everyone. He has to save everyone because that night he saved no one. So this book is awesome. And, you know, I talked about it, said how great it was without any spoilers, so yay. Batman Eternal, number 8's out. I'm really digging this weekly book that's building of Gotham and these supporting characters of Gotham and how they're playing Stephanie Brown in and Jason Bard in. And we had the Spectre before 2 issues ago. It's a great book. If you're not getting it, seriously try the first issue. It's awesome. Also another Batman family book that's very heavy on family is Nightwing 30, which essentially is Grayson Zero. If you don't know by now, Nightwing is being relaunched as Grayson, and it's going to be him kind of like Archer, you know, turtleneck and super spy and all that stuff. So he's going to be like Archer and using all his skills to be a super spy. But he cannot let anyone of his family, who are the characters we love, Tim, Jason, Barbara, Alfred, all them know, maybe Alfred knows, I don't know, but we can't let them know that he's alive, and he cannot continue to be Dick Grayson alive because no one will stop hounding him, trying to use him to get at them. So they're going to use him to get at his family because he's exposed. So, you know, once you expose Dick, you have very few options. You know, you just have to go with it. So I am interested in it. I really like that, you know, Nightwing's always had the difference from Batman because of who Dick Grayson is. Not so much his methods or his costume, or we saw that when he became Batman for a while, that he changed who Batman was because who he was under the suit. So to put him in this book called Grayson, that is him. That's Grayson. That's all you need. You don't need Nightwing. You don't need the mask. You don't need the Robin costume. You don't need any costume. You just need Grayson. So we'll see if the writer can pull it off. And Tim Seeley's done stuff that I've liked. So go Tim Seeley. Moving on, we have Secret Origins 2, which is Batman. If you want to have that whole 0 year condensed in just a few pages by Ray Fox, he did a great job. Jeff Parker does a brilliant Aquaman story. And then there's a Starfire thing that, you know, is also in the book. Flash 31. I'm really enjoying this relaunch of Flash with our relaunch in a bit. You know, it's new artists, new writers, Venditti and Van Jensen. And I love seeing that image of Wally as Flash for the 5 years later thing. I don't know if you saw that image online, but it looked pretty cool. And Wally is prominent in this issue, and I'm enjoying it. I'm glad that they waited this long to do something with that. And it was pretty awesome. Futures in 4, you see Frankenstein and Amethyst. And Futures End has this problem of making 5 years in the future feel a lot cooler than what's current in the DC universe. It just feels like there's so much more at stake. There's just so much this sense of urgency in the future, which is essentially to not have this future happen and not have the farther future that Batman Beyond came from happen. But this sense of urgency is just so there, so present, that sometimes when there's a little bit of padding of introducing a new character to this mix, it's like, come on, let's get with it. Let's save the future. Let's save the past. Let's save the world. Come on. But Tim Drake. You got Tim Drake. You know, Tim Drake's here, and it's pretty awesome. And his reaction to Batman Beyond was priceless. Finally, you see I'm wearing the Guy Gardner. We have the Volume 4 of Red Lanterns, which you can just start here the same way you did with Green Arrow Volume 4 with Jeff Lemire. Charles Soule took over, Guy Gardner took over, and the book got really, really good. So just read this. It just gets infused with the dynamic of Guy Gardner, of somehow adding loyalty to the mix of this rage. And the new issues out here where Guy is head-to-head with Atrocitus, and quite good. Charles Soule's killing it on there. Moving on to Marvel, we have 2 Original Sin tie-ins. This Avengers by Hickman, they're not satisfied in just the 5-year jump that DC is doing. They're 50 freaking years in the future. Between last issue and this issue, the Avengers jumped 50 years into the future, like we saw in that one special back, I think it was like issue 24. It's cool. It's cool, this 50 years in the future Hawkeye that isn't as inept as the Old Man Logan one, but there's something about that I dig, that like, hey, look, this is what went wrong. In the Avengers that we're reading, they have all this sense of purpose and all this optimism. This is Avengers world. This is the Avengers universe. We're protecting everyone. We're fixing all these big problems from happening. We're saving the universe again and again and again. And with all that hubris, obviously pride comes before a fall. And I like the future stuff with superheroes where it shows that everything falls apart. Everything you've tried to do all turns to shit. It's all your fault. You suck. Kill yourself now. So anyway, great issue, really uplifting. Original Sin, Deadpool. This is where Deadpool proves that he's like the quagmire of the Marvel Universe. You probably already know that, but look, he seriously, in this variant cover, desecrates the body of the Watcher. He just writes, "Who killed me?" with a Sharpie on his forehead. I mean, seriously, who else but Quagmire or Wade? It's ridiculous. Don't buy that cover. It's awful. But anyway, Original Sin, you do not have to have read Original Sin to get this. And of course, they know that there's Deadpool fans that don't get into a lot of Marvel proper stuff. But the Original Sin is that Deadpool had a sister. This is in the solicitation. Deadpool has a sister. I'm not going to say who she is. I don't know whatever. But whoever has the eye knows. And now we're going to know. And that's pretty cool. And also, there's a lot with my main gal, Dazzler, who is obviously my favorite X-Men that I named my daughter after. And they touch on the Dazzler Mystique thing. And then there's in the past with actual Dazzler. And Mystique has a great line in there that just cracked me up. So anyway, it was awesome. Guardians of the Galaxy, love this book. Love what they're doing with it. The team's down and out, but now they have Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel and Venom, and maybe they need some help. And it's pretty cool. Star-Lord is awesome. He has that whole like Vader-Luke thing with him and his dad that I'm really digging. And what if Luke just said, you know what, yeah, I guess so. We can try to bring order to the galaxy. Just let my friends go. You know, that's all I really care about. What if that happened? Pretty cool. Worth exploring. All right, moving on. Inhumans #2 is finally out. Charles Soule's writing it. Joe Mad's on art. So it's great, but this new build of the Inhumans and this new build of just a worldwide type of like Game of Thrones-esque take on it really suffers from being so freaking late. And all these delays of like, oh, so now it's finally get the second issue. Oh, this isn't bad. Not complaining about anything that happened, but how do I build my excitement with this being, yeah, crazy. So anyway, great issue. I really hope it gets on schedule. And I really hope that I continue to like it because I want to like Inhumans. I've always wanted to like the Inhumans. And I love Charles Soule, and you guys knew that. Miss Marvel, 4's out. This book has had so many printings of every issue. It's been through like 9 printings. And it's good. And it's not just a gimmick. It's not just a female hero. It's not just a Muslim hero. It's like taking the Marvel brand, taking the Peter Parker ethics, the mythos, the great power, great responsibility, the way in over your head type of origin where everything is, you can only be what you've been before you got the powers, but can you use the things from your upbringing to make yourself be someone that uses those powers for good? And that's what this book is. And luckily, I'm an idiot. I read these image books ahead of time because I get PDFs of them. And I forgot to grab the C.O.W.L Revival flipbook thing, but pretend like I have it here. It'll be on here. C.O.W.L Revival #1. Read it a week ago, but it's great. And what's so cool about it is fast and loose when it takes place in the continuity of C.O.W.L or Revival. It's between issues 40 or 41 or 50 and 51 of C.O.W.L. Take your pick. Revival, I don't even think it hazards a guess of when it fits. But one side you have with the C.O.W.L artist and the sensibilities of the C.O.W.L book, the tone of that book, a story of their meeting and their team up, and something cool that happens with those character skills, and what's going on in the Revival world with the Revivers. And then on the flip side, with the Revival artists, you have something that's more in line with that one sensibility, more in line with that horror, much less humor, and a very good story there too. So it's a great story whether you're a fan of either. And I just love how they did it with the flip and the different artists, and really worth checking out. If you like either of those books, you will get exactly what you want out of it, plus something that you might like. Because if you get Revival, you'll get a Revival story with C.O.W that you will love. And then you flip it over and read the C.O.W story, hey, maybe C.O.W's not all that bad. I'll lighten up a bit. So enjoy that. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And if you're local, this week is the big blowout of Free Comic Book May. But it always starts with Tuesday and Geek Trivia, where the winning team wins their bar tab. Wednesday, we're just gonna have fun with some comics. Thursday is Comics and Comics, which is stand-up comedy in here. Friday is Nerdy Karaoke, and Saturday is the big Free Comic Book May, where if you came to all the previous ones and you have the buttons from it, and if you do, you know what I'm talking about, you get your pick of one of 5 different graphic novel volume 1s that are all great stuff for free. And if not, I'll have some other free comics for you. And Mayoween is that night. It's halfway to Halloween. We're having a big party with 4 of the best local bands in Orlando, and it's going to be a blast. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.